But now onto the first topic of the day, which is this interesting Deadmau5 Twitch kind of feud that happened. Musician and dubstep artist Deadmau5 was streaming a game on a platform called Twitch, and the game was PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, or it's also referred to as PUBG, right? Just PUBG. And what is Twitch? I'm personally not a huge gamer. I enjoy the occasional video game. I don't think I've been as excited about video games since the last BioShock came out. BioShock was awesome. But anyway, there is a platform called Twitch. It is an online forum in which you are able to create on-demand video streaming of the games you're playing on the platform. It was intended to be solely an online gaming experience during its conception, but now has expanded to include other things. This is how they describe it on their website. Quote, "We are a global community of millions who have come together each day to create their own entertainment. Unique, live, unpredictable, never-to-be-repeated experiences created by the magical interactions of the many. With chat built into every stream, you don't just watch on Twitch, you are part of the show." So during Deadmau5's PUBG gaming live stream, someone was engaging in what is called stream sniping, which is essentially where you play the same game with someone else, but you watch their live feed on the site to figure out their exact location and make a target out of them for the entirety of the game, right? Which is back in the day, I mean, if you were playing like 4-player Halo, which I can't believe I'm saying back in the day, that makes me feel so old. But on 4-player Halo, it would be called like screen peeking, screen looking, whatever. You'd look on a different screen, see where somebody's at, and go kill them, right? Obviously, this would frustrate anyone who just wants to engage in a solid online multiplayer gaming experience. So to tie this back into our story, someone decided to stream snipe Deadmau5, right? And now, if you know anything about Deadmau5, when he's off the leash of music and just clowning around in his house or on social media, which he does a lot, you know for certain that he's a pretty unapologetic guy, which I like in a sense. That being said, I have kind of found him to be irritating at times. Sometimes he runs his mouth and gets himself into a little bit of trouble, especially on Instagram. I've seen a lot of posts like that. And that is exactly what happened here. When he realized what was going on, where he realized somebody was essentially stream sniping him, he said on the live stream, "Is that some fucking cocksucking stream sniper?" And then he used a homophobic word right after that, and that's where people get upset. I understand that some folks feel very upset about the word, so I won't use it here, but it was the F word used when trying to devalue a gay man. And of course, the internet was immediately up in arms, but they were not the only ones up in arms about it. The Twitch content and site managers saw the footage and decided that the best thing to do was to suspend Deadmau5's account. Twitch's site has a set of strict guidelines. If you go on the account, you can see these guidelines, and they're pretty extensive. Some of them are very interestingly specific, which I find odd, but some are generic, like breaking the law, unauthorized sharing of information, violence and threats, and anything else that could be considered illegal, essentially. However, one of the guidelines is entitled Hateful Conduct and Harassment, and it reads like this. Hateful conduct is any content or activity that promotes, encourages, or facilitates discrimination, denigration, objectification, harassment, or violence based on race, ethnicity, national origin, religion, sex, gender, gender identity, sexual orientation, age, disability, medical condition, physical characteristics, or veteran status, and is prohibited. Any hateful content is considered a zero-tolerance violation, and all accounts associated with such content will be indefinitely suspended. And then it goes on to say, harassment is any content or activity that attempts to intimidate, degrade, abuse, or bully others, or creates a hostile environment for others and is prohibited. Depending on the severity of the offense, your account may be indefinitely suspended on the first violation. So obviously, according to the standards of the website, if we're just going bare bones with it, and you're one of the managers of this site, Deadmau5's account should in fact be suspended, maybe even deleted, because that's the rules. But once the account was suspended, Deadmau5 was extremely upset, obviously, and decided to take to Reddit in order to let out some of that steam. I'll post the whole letter on the website so you guys can read it, but I want to read some of it here. Get ready for like the expletive carpet bombing of a lifetime, because this is just the kind of guy he is. So part of his letter reads like this. While it was intended to insult a fucking asshat who was being a fucking asshat, it wasn't directed at an entire group of people who have a sexual orientation that differs from my own. Fuck off with that shit. I know who I am, and I don't have to fucking sit here and cry and defend my fucking self with the obligatory "I'm not that person, I am sorry" reflex. If I'm sorry for anything, I'm sorry that we live in a world where bottom-feeding pieces of shit can sit there staring at a monitor, watching me play video games, and just waiting for someone to get tilted so he can get a few fucking clicks. That's what I'm sorry for. Wow. Man, that's crazy. I feel like Marv from Home Alone. Wow. What a hole. Just peachy. Isn't he colorful? You can see how he's able to use all those different plugins so effectively in his music because he's just a verbal Picasso. He can take those little pieces and just put them together in such an interesting and artful way. Again, the Twitch guidelines specifically state that he cannot do these things, right? So Zimmerman knew the consequences, but that's his real name, by the way, Joel Zimmerman, knew the consequences when he signed up. But let's get into this a little bit more. If you'll recall episode 20 of this show, it was called The Societal War. And the overarching theme for that episode was freedom of speech and how large of an influence it can have on music. You know, my thoughts on this are that complete freedom of speech is always better than restrictions for a number of reasons. And in this case, I will have to defend that statement, which puts me in a surprisingly small minority group in terms of the opinions on this case. Words alone should not get an account suspended. This is exactly what we were approaching in the discussion about the wintertime favorite baby, It's Cold Outside. Remember that whole controversy? That was about multiple things. I mean, it was about the Me Too movement as well, but it's also about freedom of speech and certain things like that. Now, I want to ask you two very quick questions. Number one, do you believe free speech should take precedence over protecting feelings? What we are discussing here is not whether it was offensive. It was clearly offensive for many people. It was rude to say, and it was indecent to say. That's not cool. But that's an entirely separate issue. We're discussing whether somebody is allowed to say words in front of a camera.